How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. And in the first episode, I talked about death and Technoblade and all that jazz. Check it out if you want to. We're here to talk about nepotism, and this is blown up as a subject in the last few weeks because if you watch basketball, you would have heard of Lebron James. He got his son drafted into the NBA, even though a bunch of scouts were telling him that Bronny is not good enough to make the NBA, but he's at the Lakers because of a lot of shady things happening in the background. Rich Paul, his agent, telling people not to draft Bronny from other teams. There's a lot of behind the scenes things going on. So nepotism has been at the forefront of the NBA recently, but I'm not here to bore you guys about something that's been talked about for so long now. I want to talk about my own life because that's what I care about most. How nepotism has affected me in the last few years. With the number of job occupations that are shrinking in retail, I'm not gonna lie, nepotism has started to rear its head into retail as well. Now I work in Sainsbury's, for the next few weeks I'm resigning, so I'm happy as fuck. At the last two stores I've worked at, as someone who's had to visit other stores, there's an Indian domination going on in retail in Sainsbury's in London. And to be honest, it's something I really clocked onto as soon as I got the job. Like, I first started working in Sainsbury's November the 5th, 2019. I'm never gonna forget that date. It's something I realized off the rip. Like, I was 17 when I first got the job, so obviously there's a bunch of stuff I couldn't do because I wasn't 18. I always got the shitty jobs.
That's gotta be racist. There's no way. I'm gonna just keep it real. There's no way that is like of our culture.
I don't like claiming this race shit, but I ain't gonna lie, it was looking at me dead in the face. The reason I'm so quick to point to race on that is because while still being underage, the shift of me going from shitty jobs to better jobs, it changed once they found out that I was 50% Indian. And yeah, I'm not trolling. Oms keeps thinking I'm trolling. Shout out to Oms, but you keep thinking I'm trolling. I've said it on YouTube now, so hopefully you can just, you know what I'm saying? My mum's side of the family is Indian. I'm half Indian, half African. You learn something new every day. Yeah, once they found out I was Indian, because obviously Tulsi is an Indian name for those who don't know, I started getting treated a lot better, I'm not gonna lie. But that only lasted a few months until I turned 18 because they realized that I embrace being black. Okay, that just is what it is. As much as my DNA is Indian and I have no problem telling people I'm mixed if they ask, I'm more black than I am anything. Like, I've always considered myself to be black. I'm just considered black, plus I'm dark. I don't look Indian. Like, my hair's curly, sure, but I don't look Indian. I'm black. And anyone who's walking next to me on the street, if you just stop and ask them, they'll say I'm black. So I identify more being African than being Indian because I've just been exposed to more African culture. But because I didn't quote unquote embrace it and I was like a half breed, I'm not fully Indian, I've just realized that people who were fully Indian were just getting certain privileges and they were getting certain benefits that I just didn't get. It was simple shit, but it was still annoying shit. Like, for example, just lateness. Because they're supposed to have some strict punctuality rule and all this bullshit. People were late routinely who were Indian and they didn't hear nothing. I was late once in 2 years and I got called into the office for it. Like, what type of shit is that? It pisses me off thinking about this, I swear to God. On a Saturday, when they would do afternoon flight, they would take the Indian supervisor and our 2 Indian managers. They would take a kettle and bread into the cash office and have a fucking tea party inside the cash office while doing the cash, while everyone else is outside working. Like, make that shit make sense. Like, that has to break some type of rule, right? Like, you can't take food and a kettle and cups into a fucking cash office and have a tea party. I was pissed. When I found out about that, I was pissed. I made it known I was pissed because that's some bullshit. And it was just slight things like leaving early, not staying behind to do everything you need to do. It's just little things that kept building up and building up. And the managers, because they were Indian themselves, just let it slide and kept bringing in people that they knew and just kept on letting things slide. And it got really, really frustrating. But the tipping point for me is when I wanted to progress and become like a manager or get manager training.
Fight back, nigga! Fight back, nigga! Fight back! Fight back!
It got to that type of point for me because I was really stuck. I felt like I wasn't allowed to grow and experience life and try out new things because I had so many responsibilities to my family and stuff like that. So it never felt like I was able to properly experience anything. I went from sixth form straight to working and I was just working ever since. I've never really got to travel, never really got to do stuff with friends. I never really got to do shit, really. It's just weighing on me that I can't really do everything I want to do without start some type of judgment from the people closest to me. Like, it sucks. So I wanted to end up progressing in Sainsbury's while I decide what I wanted to do with my life, and then when I was ready, I would just leave Sainsbury's entirely. Something you guys remember from the start, I had dreadlocks. Once I started growing dreadlocks, the 50% Indian, that ceased to exist. I was just fully black to these people now. So they just carried on doing some bullshit. Honestly, it was not fun. Any type of manager training was out the window. There was any excuse was being made, any and every excuse. I'm not working hard enough. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I don't have enough reps under my belt. I'd have to go to online. There's so many things that they threw at me that I kept overcoming, and there was still an excuse at the end of the road. It got to the point where I switched Sainsbury's, I went to another store. But the thing that really kept getting me was that everyone around me, or colleagues that I knew already, were getting manager opportunities. And everywhere I looked, they were Indian. It feels like a punch in the gut that I was trying for ages, that I was trying for a good year, and I kept increasing my work, voluntarily taking on extra jobs, staying behind late, really trying to put my best foot forward. I even cut my dreads. That was part of the reason I cut them off, was to make that final impression like, yo, I'm trying to take this seriously. And it still didn't make a difference. And at that point, I just ceased all type of commitment. I couldn't be bothered. And at that point, I just started working for a paycheck, and that was it. I'm working just as hard as them, if not harder, in my opinion. And it feels like they're just bringing up people who they can associate with more. Because every time I've gone in for manager training, I had to deal with an Indian person giving me that go ahead, that green light. For some reason, it just felt like there was always some sort of disconnect or some barrier that I couldn't get across. But other people are clearing the barrier so easily. Like, people are coming in to work at Sainsbury's, and a few months later, they're going off for manager training. I've been trying this shit for 2 years. Where's my love at? They wouldn't want to hear it from the higher ups, but I don't care. I've just come to accept that now, because Sainsbury's politics is nothing but stabbing people in the back to get where you want to. I've seen colleagues stab each other in the back to get up positions or get favors from managers. I've seen managers stab each other in the back to get promoted. I've seen store managers throw other managers below them under the bus to get promoted. I've seen it all. So I know a lot about the store and what people had to go through to get to where they're at in the store, whether it's managers, store managers, regional managers. It's a lot of snaky shit, man. I don't want to be part of that. And it starts with nepotism. It starts with being a certain race to get to that playing field first, then you go higher. I'm tired of it, man. The worst part about it is that it's probably like that at almost every other job. I can't be bothered to fight it because I tried and I failed. I don't want to go through that again. I feel like as time and time goes on, nepotism is just going to increase, because a lot of the times what happens when we get to a position, we want to put our family on. We want to put our homies on. We want to put on people that look like us, that act like us. Early on in the days, white people took on nepotism because they wanted to keep it white. I feel like people of other races are starting to do that for their own races as well. Nepotism is something I completely disagree with. I really think the most qualified person should get it, regardless of race. And to be honest, that's not a crazy take. Most people have that. But as long as the higher ups have the power, they're going to engage in nepotism. It's the way the world works. And to be honest, I just don't have the strength to fight that shit no more. I don't want to. And I don't want to waste energy trying. So it's about time I try and do something for myself. But leave what you guys think in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed this Let's Talk. And I'll see you guys next week for another one. Peace.
I'm not a savior nor a saint. Told 30s and sticks with an open case. I try to behave when I know I can't. So purpose of this is to motivate. What's the ticket? Shit we can negotiate. Take a toke of the law while I pour the drink.